I love the Half-Life series. Seriously, it's like my most favourite series ever. I am such a hardcore fan of Half-Life. Not only have I done a Let's Play of Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, and Half-Life 2 Episode 3... I even have nearly every single Half-Life accessory from the Valve store, ranging from the headcrab hat all the way to the limited edition Christmas 40 gun. It comes with a little hat. Yes! I'm not even kidding. I literally wear the official Half-Life 2 cap nearly everywhere I go. Seriously, if you see some random guy in the street wearing the official Half-Life 2 cap, come up to him and say, "Hey, you Ihasnotomato?" And he says, no, who the hell are you? Then that's probably not me. But, yeah. Anyway, I was recently thinking, gee whiz, Halloween sure is coming out fast, and despite the fact that we don't really celebrate Halloween in Australia, I was thinking, who's probably one of the creepiest video game characters out there? A lot of characters came to mind, but in most situations, my thoughts just came back straight to Half-Life, which led me to the G-Man. Seriously, G-Man is quite possibly the creepiest character in all of Half-Life. Seriously, he's more creepier than a creeper riding a whale. Hey, find whales creepy. But anyway, that got me thinking. What makes G-Man so creepy? Is it the fact of those mysterious places he turns up in? Or maybe even it's the fact that we don't know what he's planning? Or maybe it's the fact that he always wears that suit. What is with the suit? And the briefcase? Pretty much as soon as Half-Life came out, fans have been posting their own G-Man theories about who is he and what is he doing here? And today, it's my turn. But before I go on with my theory, I'd like to address another theory. Now this one is quite popular, I'm not quite sure why, but it is. And it's basically this. Gordon Freeman equals G-Man. Squared. Get it? Yeah, you don't get it. Now some of you might be wondering, how can anyone get to that solution? Seriously. Well, the answer pretty much is summed up with this. The G stands for Gordon. The man stands for Freeman. You see? This is all the same. They've got to be. And then there's this picture that some person made at some stage. And, you know, that's good enough. Because, you know, there's no other reason for Gordon Freeman to not want to go back into the past and torment himself. Yeah, I mean, and they look so similar with the glasses and the haircut and the goatee. Yeah. Needless to say, that's not my favourite theory. My theory is actually more or less a mixture of multiple theories, as well as my own input. Now, a quick warning. If the only Half-Life footage you have seen is from my Let's Plays, then you probably might not want to watch this, due to the fact I will be spoiling what happens at the end of Half-Life, my current LP. Like I said, this video will be divided into two parts. Who is he, and what is he doing here? So let's begin. So, who is he? Well, first of all, let's take a good look at him. He's a bit shifty looking, I'll give him that. But still looks like a harmless human. Well, maybe not quite. He does have that speech impediment, almost as if he's not comfortable with human speech. He's got a very stiff walk to him, almost as if he's not used to this whole human gig, if you ask me. Yes, that's right. I believe he's an alien. I mean, why not? The Earth's been attacked by aliens from 2 different planets before. But I'm just saying that to show that he's not human. He may be an alien, it's very likely, it's not ruled out. However, another theory that occurs is the God theory. The God theory basically states that he is a being from another world that has the ability to do whatever he wants, basically. The way he looks over everything and controls what happened. So either one of these can be true. But let's just agree he's a being from another plane, and we don't fully understand him. The G-Man is constantly making himself out to look like a worker or an employee. In fact, he even mentions his own employers several times. I think that this might be true, but maybe not in the sense that we think of it. I believe that the reason he looks like this government man and such is because, yes, he is a government man, but not in our world. I believe the only reason he really looks like that is because he has a kind of TARDIS feature. Now bear with me here. It's basically like he's trying to disguise himself with regular humans, like the TARDIS tries to disguise itself into its surroundings. See what I mean? He's a businessman in his world, so he's a businessman here. So now we've sort of got an idea of who the G-Man is, let's work on what exactly is he doing here. Well, to start off, we already know that the G-Man has some kind of a connection to Gordon. No, not that kind of a connection. It's more or less in the sense that the G-Man wants Gordon for some reason. An unknown reason, but a reason nonetheless. So let's go back to Half-Life 1. As we all know, G-Man is seen regularly throughout Half-Life, guiding Freeman through the hallowed halls of Black Mesa. At the end of Half-Life, G-Man confronts Gordon face to face and describes how he has recommended Gordon Freeman to his employers. He also states how his employers agree that Gordon has limitless potential. He then blackmails Freeman into being hired by G-Man, or his employers if you will. But let's take a step back here. If you ask me, I'd say the reason G-Man's been watching you and helping you throughout Black Mesa is merely because he's been testing you and analysing you to see if you are worthy of whatever his big plan is later on. It is clear to me that G-Man planned the Resonance Cascade scenario from the beginning. At the beginning of the game, G-Man can be seen talking to a scientist behind a window. It is said that they are arguing about how G-Man has requested to boost the anti-mass spectrometer to 105%, thus causing the Resonance Cascade scenario. And let's not forget to mention Eli's encounter with G-Man, where he whispered in his ear, "Prepare for unforeseen consequences." But we'll get into that a little bit later. Now that Gordon has proven himself by passing through G-Man's sick and twisted test, he's put into stasis for when he is needed again, almost as if buying a jacket in the summer, putting it in the closet and waiting until winter for that right moment. And that brings us to Half-Life 2. But wait a second, I'm missing something here. What was it? Oh yes, Adrian Shepard. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have never even heard of Adrian Shepard, but he is actually another character in the Half-Life series, and a rather important one at that. He appears as the protagonist in the Half-Life, I guess you could say, spin-off called Opposing Force. He also goes through Black Mesa having to face just as many troubles and tasks as Gordon did, and at the end of the game is also confronted by G-Man and put into stasis. However, he is yet to appear again in the series, which leads me to believe that Shepard's part in G-Man's plan is yet to be revealed on a later date. Possibly in, I don't know, some other Half-Life game that might be coming soon. The way I see it, he's sort of like gloves that you buy in the summer. They don't put on as soon as winter comes, but later on, when it gets colder, maybe. Finally, we come to Half-Life 2. Ah, Half-Life 2. Possibly one of my most favourite games in the franchise. Anywho, what's it? At the beginning of the game, you're instantly confronted by G-Man as he describes that you've been stasis for a long time and that your hour has come again. By that, I believe it means it is winter. The coat is coming out. Whatever Jordan has to do here is part of G-Man's plan, and throughout all of Half-Life 2, once again, G-Man follows you, except this time, he's controlling you. By this I mean, now that G-Man has hired you, you are just another piece in his diabolical chess game. Not many people notice this, but throughout Half-Life 2, and I suppose Half-Life as well, G-Man is always guiding you. He's not just watching you, he's guiding you. He's almost always in the place that you need to go, as an indicator of where you're going to be later. It's basically showing that he is in control of you. You are his property, and he's going to do whatever the hell he wants with you. Okay, at the end of the game when the Citadel explodes, he attempts to put you into stasis again, as if to put that code away for another winter. Now this brings us to another theory. Now, some people believe that destroying the Citadel was G-Man's plan. The only reason that G-Man is there is because he's actually part of another Rebel Alliance. Possibly once again not a human alliance, but still part of the Rebel Alliance. He wants to take down the Combine as much as anyone else, but to do that, he's going to need a warrior from the past. So he goes back in time and finds the guy that he needs, Gordon Freeman. He then puts him in stasis and waits until his day is near. Then when Gordon Freeman starts the uprising and destroys the Citadel, his job is done. And when the Combine make their next big move, Gordon Freeman's going to be there to save the day once again. However, I don't really like this theory very much. It just doesn't seem very G-Man-y, if that makes any sense. I see G-Man as a very mysterious guy, you know? The Combine invasion kind of seems minuscule to him. One of the reasons that Half-Life is my favourite series is because it has a very particular story aspect to it. I like to call this story aspect a background story. But what I mean by a background story is, basically, you've got your main story, which is basically the human race rebelling against the Combine and taking the Earth back. That's the main story. The background story, on the other hand, is the whole G-Man thing. The thing is, it's always going on in the background. However, everyone's too focused on what's going on in the foreground to notice. Occasionally, yes, he'll make a few appearances here and there, but he's always working behind the scenes, working on something bigger and better. Just something that you know you're going to see soon, and it's working up to it, but you just can't focus on him because you're busy doing something else. Once again, this brings us to the famous Eli and Gordon chat scene, but like I said, we'll get to that a little bit later. So now we come to Half-Life 2 Episode 1. Now, surprisingly, G-Man doesn't actually make that much of an appearance, only at the beginning. You see him walking through the door that he walked out of at the end of Half-Life 2, almost as if he's walking into another room to do something to Gordon. However, this time, the Vortigaunt stop him. Now, I'm really not quite sure what's going on with the Vortigaunts. They're very mysterious creatures, I'll give them that. And I don't quite know what their connection is with G-Man and other worlds and stuff, but I'm not really here to theorize about that. The way I see it here is, they kind of see Gordon as a friend in need. They understand who the G-Man is, and they know that he is not a person to be trusted. They know that Gordon is stuck under his control, and they want to help him. They do this by preventing G-Man from reaching Gordon at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 1. But because of this, Gordon is now free. He can do what he wants, at least for a short period of time. You will notice throughout Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and halfway through Half-Life 2 Episode 2, that G-Man doesn't appear at all. It's because he's being prevented by the Vortigaunts. He's off doing something else now, plotting his next move, or at least trying to get back to Gordon. Because now, Gordon is, shall I say it, a free man. Anyway, as I was saying, halfway through Half-Life 2 Episode 2, G-Man appears once again, halfway through the game. I know, pretty crazy. But he states he had to wait until Gordon's friends were otherwise occupied, as the Vortigaunts now have to use their otherworldly powers to tend to Alex's wounds. G-Man seizes this opportunity and decides to make a little game. He finds that the fact that the Vortigaunts tried to help Gordon rather amusing, actually, and that he wants to get more involved in this little shindig that they've got going here. So he relays the message to Alex to deliver to her father, Eli. Prepare for unforeseen consequences. From this point on, G-Man starts to reappear again, following and guiding you as he did before, only this time he's got some unfinished business to attend to. This finally brings us to one of my favourite scenes in the whole Half-Life series, the chat between Eli Vance and Gordon Freeman. In Half-Life 2 Episode 2, shortly after your arrival to a White Forest, when only you, Alex and Eli are in the room, G-Man spookily appears on the TV and puts Alex into some kind of trance, causing her to relay the words,
"Prepare for unforeseen consequences."
This causes Eli to have a moment of extreme shock and asks Alex to leave Gordon and him to go get tea. Then Eli takes this opportunity to explain his knowledge of the G-Man to you. He explains that he knows the G-Man is the one who delivered the Zen crystal, and that apparently G-Man rescued Alex from Black Mesa, probably for his own reasons. He mentions how the phrase unforeseen consequences is something that G-Man whispered to him just as Gordon entered the test chamber. Here's the full scene.
Unforeseen consequences. The last time I heard those words was back at Black Mesa. You had just stepped into the test chamber when he whispered them in my ear. You know who I'm talking about. Our mutual friend. When he brought in that crystal, I knew I should have aborted that damn test, but I didn't. The whole world went to hell that day. And now he's using my little girl, putting words in her mouth. God damn it. I should have known when he rescued her it was for his own damn reasons. Gordon, there's so much I need to tell you. Between us, we may finally have a chance.
Here you go.
Now, I find it interesting how Alex comes in just as Eli is about to tell you something that actually has the potential to bring down the G-Man, or at least figure out what he's planning. And only moments after that, Magnuson arrives to take you away from Eli. I think that G-Man was watching the entire conversation. I mean, you saw him on the TV before, and perhaps he knew exactly what Eli was going to tell you. Whatever it was, I think G-Man was not happy about it. In fact, I think he was trying to be as subtle as possible to get Gordon and Eli as far away from each other as possible so they can't finish that conversation and don't suspect him. You aren't in direct contact with Eli again until the end of the game, when he once again mentions that there is more to tell you about the G-Man. However, G-Man has had enough at this stage and decides to end it once and for all. He must eliminate Eli as he is the only flaw in his plan. He is an unexpected pimple on the face of order and must be squeezed. But once again, in order to avoid any suspicion towards himself, G-Man sends a pair of advisors to take care of Eli. I always thought this was a bit odd, considering how advisors aren't really the type of things to seek out people to kill, more have people brought to them to be killed. Now, you might be thinking, okay, yeah, sure, blame G-Man for Eli's death, sure. And believe me, I get where you're coming from, and I was thinking about that too, until this happened. My theory is that now the advisors have done their job, they need to leave and keep Gordon and Alex alive to continue G-Man's plan, so he sticks dog on them to shoo them away. So, what's next for G-Man? Well, only time can truly tell what will happen if all of G-Man's plans come to pass. However, I have one last theory on what would happen if Gordon is to rebel against the G-Man further, as in, if Gordon was to underestimate his power. Nihilanth is the final boss of Half-Life, and despite its almost disturbing alien-like appearance, he's actually capable of human speech, and says some pretty interesting things.
You are man. He is not man. For you he waits for you.
This is where my primary theory of G-Man being an inhuman being comes from. Of course, I should mention at this point, Nihilanth never references G-Man directly, but I believe it's implied.
Die, you all die, you all die.
This could mean one of two things. A, this could be a grim vision of the distant future, or B, Nihilanth expressing that he has given up hope. Now listen to these next few carefully.
Alone, not you alone, not you alone. The last, I am the last. Deceive you, will deceive you. Their slaves we are, their slaves we are. The truth. You can never know the truth.
These quotes brought me to an interesting theory. I believe that Nihilanth is referencing the G-Man, and referring to himself as also being a slave of G-Man.
Alone, not you alone, not you alone.
I believe this is referring to the G-Man taking control of more than just Gordon, but many others and possibly even Nihilanth.
The last, I am the last.
Some people think this means he's the last of his kind. Although that is possible, I think it means he was the last person to be employed by the G-Man, and to show what has happened to him.
Deceive you, will deceive you.
I think this means that the Nihilanth was fooled by G-Man, and because of that, he is now in a rather sticky situation.
Their slaves we are, their slaves we are.
There are people who think this refers to Nihilanth and the other creatures of Zen, but I think it refers to Nihilanth and Gordon, stating that they are both slaves to not just one man, but more people, possibly G-Man's employers?
The truth you can never know.
simply stating that the G-Man will go through great lengths to conceal the truth from you. But I couldn't just leave it at that. Oh no, I needed more. I wanted to know why the 9F is giving you all this information. I mean, they are fighting to the death, right? Now, this theory is based on very little information, so feel free to ignore me here. But I believe that 9F was once human. Yes, I know, a ridiculous statement, especially based on 9F's appearance. But this is what I think. Yes, he was once human. A human just like Gordon, who was under control of the G-Man. In fact, I believe he was supposed to play the part of Gordon Freeman. However, he became aware of G-Man's plans and decided to fight back. Unfortunately, G-Man fooled him into underestimating his power, and as punishment, 9F went through several horrible surgeries to make him what he is today. And forced with the added technology you see sticking out of him to fight to the death with his replacement, Gordon Freeman. The reason I think this is because I think it looks like he's undergone surgery. What with all that machinery and technology sticking out of him to keep him upright and maintain the shape, it also looks like his third arm, which is somewhat traditional with multiple Zen creatures, has been stitched on. I believe the reason his voice is so strained and mysterious is because he's physically forcing himself to communicate with you and to warn you of the G-Man. Well, that does it for my G-Man theories. I hope you enjoyed them, and I would like to see any theories you guys have in the comments below. This has been Ihasnotomato. Have a happy Halloween, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.